5.5, we are going to work on solving rational equations. So here's the key word here is equations. So we're going from expressions to equations. Equations just mean we've thrown in an equal sign here. So with that being said, I put a couple things to think about. Always try and simplify, which means factor, cancel, put together first. This can make it easier to solve. Trust me, that will be a great first step. Second thing to always think about, cross multiply. Cross multiply usually gets us set up to be able to solve like normal. All right, you guys ready? Let's do this. Okay, here's what I want to do. So on this side here, on the left side, again, what am I trying to do? Factor, simplify, put together, right? I'm trying to put it back together. Okay, so if I want to put these together as one cohesive unit, I'm going to need the same denominators. Okay, so on this side, we're going to multiply by t. We're going to multiply the top by t. On this side, we're going to multiply 8. We're going to multiply the top by 8. Okay, so what do we end up with? We end up with 1t plus 16 over 8t. Remember, we just did this last section, right? Equals 17 over 8t. Okay, so that's what it looks like right now. Okay, here we go. We are going to cross multiply. Okay, so now this is a tough one because this is a group on top and not a group on bottom. But think about multiplying across, distributing 8t squared plus 8 times 16, which is 128t, equals, cross multiply, 17 times 8. I'm just doing this in my calculator, folks. 136t. Okay, now we are ready to solve. Anytime I see a quadratic, yep, that's a squared term, I'm going to try to get 0 on one side. So I want to push everything to the one side that I can, because it's going to probably involve some kind of factoring here. So when I do that, I get 8t squared. Let's see, what is this? 128 minus 136. So it looks like negative 8t equals 0. Now that I got a 0 on one side, I'm allowed to factor the left side. Well, what factors out of this? How about an 8t on the outside? And then it leaves me with a t minus 1 on the inside. Equals 0. So now I get to split it. This thing equals 0 or this thing equals 0. So let's do that. 8t equals 0 or t minus 1 equals 0. Because if this outside part equals 0, the whole thing equals 0. If this group of t minus 1 equals 0, then the whole thing equals 0. So I'm actually going to end up with two answers. T equals 0. That's a possible answer. Add 1 to both sides. And t equals 1. That's a possible answer. Now, this is good. We have two possible answers. Which one is the correct? And they might both work. But let's go back up to the original equation. Actually, I'm going to rewrite it right here for you. Here's the original equation. 1/8 plus 2 over t equals 17 over 8t. If I plug 0 in for t, would it create problems? Like anywhere this thing's going to be undefined? Yeah, it would create a problem there and there. So this actually is not a viable solution. What if I plug in 1? Would it create a problem here? Nope. Would it create a problem here? Nope. Looks like my final answer, t equals 1, is the only one we can go with. That's it, folks. That's how we're going to do that. Okay, let's look at number 3. It's a little simpler of a problem because check this out. My w is here. I don't want to combine this junk here because that just seems like too much work when I can literally just add 4 to both sides. And now I'm going to get 11 equals 1 over w. Once you get it down simplified to a fraction on one side and a fraction on the other side, because I'm going to put it over 1, now I get to cross multiply. 11 times w, 11w, equals 1 times 1, 1. Okay, let's divide by 11, and we get w equals 1 over 11, because the 11's cancel. Does that create a problem if I plug it in here? Nope, it sure does not. That's it, guys, right? So always at that last step, does it create a problem? Okay, here we go. Hey, check it out. It's already a fraction equal to a fraction. No need to combine, no need to do stuff. Can I factor anything? No. Well, let's go right to our cross multiply. I'm going to cross multiply. Now remember, this is a group. So as I multiply 7 times the group, I got to distribute that 7 across. So 7r minus 35 equals cross multiply. 2r times 1 is 2r. Okay. Now I'm going to get my r's on the same side. 2r. That goes away. 5r minus 35 equals 0. So now I can either factor or run this through a general equation. I'm just going to run it through a general equation because there's only one thing attached to the r. So let's add 35 to both sides. So now we get 5r is equal to 35. Let's divide by 5 on both sides. And so that's going to give me r equals 7. Now let's, again, if I plug a 7 in here, will it create a problem? Nope, no undefined. If I plug in a 7 here, will it create a problem? Nope, I think we're fine. I think we're gonna be fine. Okay, so that's how it looks like, pretty simply done. Okay, let's try this one here. Okay, again, I have a fraction on this side, so I'm ready there. I would like to get these fractions together, or I could get rid of this. But getting rid of this over here doesn't negate that I have a variable on both sides. So that's actually not going to help me out as much as let's just combine these two, okay? So let's see, on the left, oops, let's keep this going. On the left, I got 1 divided by x. On the right, okay, look, denominators are the same. Well, that means I can just write the top. And now that's going to create a grouping, unfortunately, because x minus 5 actually isn't a number. It's a grouping over 6. But it's okay, because we got it down to one fraction. Once we get it down to a fraction, what are we going to do? That's right, cross multiply. Cross multiply. So that, remember, that's a group. So think about distributing across that group. X squared minus 5x is equal to, cross multiply the other side, 6. 6 times 1 is 6. Okay? Anytime you see a quadratic, get a 0 on one end of the equation. Okay? Well, let's do that. Subtract 6, subtract 6. Now, you can't subtract 6 from the x squared, and you can't subtract 6 from the 5x. So it's just going to hang out at the end right there. And so then we end up with a quadratic equation. Well, let's see if we can't factor quadratic equation. Two things that multiply to negative 6 and add to a negative 5. How about negative 6 and 1? Multiply them together, you get negative 6, and add them together, you get negative 5. So I'm going to put a negative 6 in the first parenthesis, I'm going to put positive 1 in the second parenthesis. It doesn't matter what order you put those in. So it equals 0. Okay, if this group equals 0, the whole thing equals 0. If this group equals 0, the whole thing equals 0. So if x minus 6 equals 0, we got a problem. Or not a problem, we got a solution. If x plus 1 equals 0, we have a solution. So let's add 6 to both sides. So I get x is equal to 6, okay? And let's subtract 1 from both sides. I'm going to get x is equal to negative 1. So I get two answers, but what do we have to do? We got to go back to the original equation, which, again, here, let me just write it here for you. 1 over x equals x over 6 minus 5 over 6. If I plugged a 6 in here, would that create a problem? Nope. And we don't care about the top of the equation because it won't be undefined. What if I plugged a negative 1 in here? Would that create a problem? Nope. So actually, both of these are answers. Good, good. Okay, let's keep this train going here. Okay, so here again, I got kind of things. I can add, I can subtract m from both sides, and I can do it that way, or I can try to combine on the same side. It doesn't matter which one you do. So what do you want to do? Do you want to make this a fraction over 1 and then get like denominators and then do my cross multiply, or do I want to subtract m, right? So I could just subtract m from this side, subtract m from this side. What's that's going to create? It's going to be 12 over m equals 7 minus m. Well, what if we just called that a group and put it over 1? Yeah, we could do that if we want. So then we can cross multiply. Remember, you're cross multiplying across a group. So distribute when you do it. 7m minus m squared, right? So that's what that looks like. Equals, cross multiply the other one, 12. Okay, anytime that you have a quadratic showing, let's get a 0 on one side. But I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to swap it over here, I'm going to take this, I'm going to swap it over here. So I'm just going to move there. So negative m squared plus 7m. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and subtract 12 from both sides. So there's also going to be a minus 12 equals 0. Okay, now we're going to try to factor this thing down. If there's ever a negative, I'm going to go ahead and pull the negative out first. So I'm going to pull a negative 1 out, and then I'm going to have m squared minus 7m plus 12, right? Because I pulled a negative out of everything, equals 0. All right, let's see if we can't factor this thing down. Or can we think of any two things that multiply to positive 12 and add to a negative 7? How about negative 4 and negative 3? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what's going to make this go to 0? Either this group equaling 0 or this group equaling 0. The negative 1, who cares? It's just out there. M minus 4 equals 0. M minus 3 equals 0. So M equals 4. That's a possible answer. M equals 3. That's a possible answer. Are either of those going to give me a problem in the original equation? Right? 4 sitting in the bottom there won't give me a problem. 3 sitting in the bottom there won't give me a problem. So both of these are acceptable answers. All right, so there you go. There's a way to do it. All right, let's do this one. I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to put this over 1, and I'm going to combine this side, right? So I need to get like denominators. So this side's going to need to be multiplied by k. And this side technically gets multiplied by 1, but 1's not going to actually do anything, okay? So now, k times k is k squared, plus 1 times 1 is 1 over k equals 2. Okay, now we're ready because we have a fraction on this side. We can create a fraction on this side by putting it over 1. Now we're ready to cross multiply. All right, 2 times k is 2k equals 1. Distribute that 1 across, k squared plus 1. Okay, if you see a quadratic, what do we need to do? Get a 0 on one side. Subtract 2k, subtract 2k. 0 equals k squared minus 2k plus 1. All right, 0 equals, can I break this into two parentheses? Two things that multiply to positive 1 and add to negative 2. Think, think, think. Negative 1, negative 1. Okay, so the only way that this is going to equal 0 is if this group equals 0 or this group equals 0. So we're going to go k minus 1 equals 0 or k minus 1 equals 0. So k equals 1 or k equals 1. Well, those are the same answer. I don't need to repeat it. Just say it once. K equals 1. Now, is that going to create a problem in the original equation? Nope. Nope, not going to create a 0 on the bottom of a fraction. K equals 1. Looks like our answer. All right. So you guys kind of seeing how this goes? All right, let me pick one that's just a little bit harder here, and then we'll get this together. So let me look at this one. All right, so check this out. Here's what I'm noticing right away. X plus 2 and x plus 2. What if I got those on the same side? I would be able to combine them. So since this is a minus, let me add 2x over x plus 2. Let me add 2x over x plus 2 on this side. So they'll go away here. So then you get x over 3 is equal to 4 over x plus 2 plus 2x over x plus 2. Now, why did I want to do that again? Because I noticed that the denominators are the same. So if I get them on the same side, I'll just be able to combine them. So this is going to be x over 3 equals, since the denominators are the same, just add 4 plus 2x over x plus 2. Right? Remember, that's how that works, right? As long as the groups are the same, or the bottoms are the same, we've got groups. Okay. Cross multiply. Remember that this is a group. So distribute the x across there. X squared plus 2x equals, cross multiply on the other side. Remember, this is a group. So distribute across the group. So we're going to get, what are we going to get? 12 plus 6x over there. Do you see an x squared term? I sure do. If you see an x squared term, we need to clean this up. So let me subtract x from both sides. Oh, good. We got x's on both sides, so those are going to be able to be next to each other. 2x minus 4x, that's putting these two together. That goes away, is equal to 12. Still got a 0 on the other side, so subtract 12 from both sides. Now, there is no number on the left to subtract from, so it just sits in the back. X squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0, right? That's what we wanted. See if we can factor this down. X squared minus 4x. So let's see, two things that multiply negative 12 and add to a negative 4. How about negative 6 and positive 2? Negative 6 and positive 2. So if this equals 0 or this equals 0, we got our answers. So set them both equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 6, that looks like one answer. X equals -2, that would be a second answer. Do either of those give us problems in the original equation? If I put a 6 in here, nope. If I put a 6 in there, nope. If I put a -2 in there, yes, I end up with a 0 on the bottom there. If I put a -2, can't be -2. So my only answer is x equals 6 for that one. Okay, so there you go. Let's do one more. Okay, well, this looks complicated. So remember, my first job is if I have a chance to factor, I'm going to rewrite it in a factored form. So here we go. It's going to be x over x minus 3 plus x over 2 equals 6x over, okay, what can I factor out of this? I can factor a 2 out, and I'm going to get an x minus 3. So what does that mean? Well, check this out. There's that group x minus 3, and there's the 2 right there. You know what? We could make these things match each other if we wanted, right? So how would I make this match over here so I can group this all together? I'm going to multiply by 2 on the top and bottom, and I'm going to multiply x minus 3 top and bottom here. Okay, let's do it. Here's what it's going to look like. 2x plus x squared, because here I go, I'm doing this right here. X squared minus 3x all over 2x minus 3 equals 6x over 2x minus 3. Now, why is that important right there? Because I can cross multiply, but check this out. If the bottoms are the same and I'm setting them equal to each other, don't the tops just then also need to be the same? Yeah, so one of my shortcuts is if the bottoms are the same on the two fractions, example, let me do something like this. If I had x over 4 is equal to 3 over 4, what would x have to equal? Well, just ignore the 4s. X would have to equal 3 in order for these things to be the same. So we're kind of doing the same concept here, right? Oh, okay, the bottoms are the same. Let me just ignore them. And so I got 2x. Oh, actually, let's put these x's together as I write this stuff. So here I go. So let me not write 2x. Let me put these two together here. So I'm going to get x squared, and then 2x minus 3x is minus x, has to be equal to the other side of the equation, 6x. Okay, if I see a squared, I'm thinking, okay, get it equal to 0 so I can try to solve it. How am I going to get it equal to 0? Subtract 6x from both sides. Oh, good, there's an x there on that side, so we can do this. X squared minus 7x equals 0. Can you factor anything out of this? Yes, you sure can. You can factor an x out, so then you're going to get x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, what are my two answers? If this equals 0, so if x equals 0, well, there's one answer. And if this group equals 0, so if x equals 7, that's the second answer. All right, perfect. What's the last step we need to do? Check it. Are either of these going to give me a problem? If I plug the 0 in here, does it make the bottom equal 0? Nope. Plug the 0 in there. Does it make the bottom equal 0? Nope. Okay, so that's good. 7. 7 equals 0 there? Nope. 7 equals 0 there? Nope. Looks like I get two answers, 0 and 7. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'm going to skip that last one just for the sake of time so that you guys have this going. But here's what you do. Always try and simplify first. They can make it easier to solve. Cross multiply is always my first thought. How do I get it so I can cross multiply?